Yo, Groovies, get in here. Let's go. Dude, do we need a business license? Okay, what up crew? Welcome to downtown Los Angeles. It is Kid Lips.
And it's your boy Groovies. And before we get too far into this video, we have to do our standard disclaimer. We are not lawyers, we are not accountants. Do not take what we say too seriously. We are trying to help you, but yeah, we're not your lawyers. You should seek outside counsel.
Absolutely. You may want to get another source for this information, but we'll be a primary, just giving you a little bit of a boost and some information and share some of our experience. But today we're going to talk about whether you need a business license to start a clothing line. Right?
To sell your clothing, to sell your goods online. And I think it's like one of those creepy moments where you're like, oh my God, am I doing everything legally correct? Is somebody gonna come after me because I didn't file a paper somewhere? It's like waking up the morning of the test when you haven't studied for it. That feeling, yikes.
Yikes, for sure. So
let's try to avoid that.
Let's get to the brass tacks here. Do you need a business license to sell clothing?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So we're done here, right?
Okay, great, yeah.
Cool.
Good,
Adios.
not necessarily. That's all I need to know. Peace, let's go. Adios.
Somebody else's problem. No, yeah, it's a tricky one. Not necessarily. Maybe you're already selling clothing online and you haven't filed a business license. Don't worry too much. You're okay. This wonderful country we live in the United States of America, has made it very easy to do business in some regard. So there's something called a sole proprietorship.
Right.
What that basically means is you can generate income as a person. And so, yeah, you can sell stuff online as yourself and do business that way without too much overhead, without filing a ton of paperwork. You do need to be careful on your taxes to make sure you're declaring that income. If you made $10,000 selling clothing, you need to tell the government when you file your taxes, and you should definitely be tracking all of your expenses to make sure you get your tax deductions and stuff like that. But no, you can sell clothing online without a business license.
And your accountant can help you with all the stuff that you just talked about. But yes, right, so you can do it. It's all good, no stress, don't worry, you didn't mess up. That said, there are a couple licenses that are valuable to consider, and especially if you are starting to sell under a different name that's not just yourself, or you want to have a name that's official, put it in your bank account, have a bank account for that name, have a website for that name, have specific things, maybe a trademark. If you're going to go to the trademark US Patent Office, you're going to need to have...
And we made a video about that before, you can check it out.
Yeah, check that out. You may want to have your name filed, and that's called DBA, Doing Business As. And so it's still a sole proprietorship, it's still Groovies' company, but his DBA, let's say, is Applique. And so he goes and files that, maybe it's $100, depends on where you do it, state by state it can vary. And now he can open a bank account as Ian Gruber, his full name, as Applique, right? And those things can be hand in hand. He can sign checks, he can get a website under Applique, he can get his trademark under Applique, and all those things can start to fall in line there.
Yeah, so basically if you're getting started, just go the sole proprietor route. There's no forms, nothing crazy you have to fill out. The first kind of document you want to think about is filing a fictitious business or doing business as, and get that going. It gives you just like the basic baseline level of getting started there.
I definitely signed up for a seller's permit. And in certain states, if you want to access wholesale pricing and not pay sales tax, that requires a permit. And so that's a special city-based, state-based agency. In our case in California, it's the Board of Equalization. And you go there and you apply for a seller's permit, which means you can buy things tax-free, but you also need to keep track of what you're buying tax-free and make sure that when you do that, you're also getting the seller's permits from the people selling you those items. So there's a bit of complexity there, but that's important. The other thing is, if you are opening a shop or you have any type of retail or you're operating in a city, the city often wants to know, and so there's a certain point where you might grow to a certain size or visibility where you need to get your city license. And most cities will have a city business license. Usually you'll see it up on the wall at any establishment. In LA, you have the City Hall and this piece of paper. So those are two documents before you structure your business that might come up to help you legitimize yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can do all those as sole proprietorships.
For sure.
Under sole proprietorship.
Right.
And then it gets to a point where you might start to consider not having a sole proprietorship and wanting something else. And there's a few things that could come up in the life of the business. One being, if you're giving your tax ID to people, when you're a sole proprietor, your tax ID is your personal social security number. At some point, you don't want to be handing your social out to everyone, just for various reasons. Just you want to keep that information somewhat private.
Sure.
So as soon as you get an LLC, it has its own EIN or tax ID number that goes on file, and you can start using that. Another one would be like if you want to have employees.
Totally.
And another reason why you will need a tax ID. Or a third thing would be just limiting your own personal liability. Meaning, if you're doing business and heaven forbid somebody wants to sue you over something, if you're a sole proprietor, they are suing you personally. If you're a limited liability corporation, they're suing your business, and so you've protected yourself personally from lawsuit as through your limited liability company. Another one would be is if you want to have a partner in your business,
For sure.
it probably makes sense to set up an LLC because it's just a cleaner way of taking your personal assets from your partners, putting them into a separate entity, and then having a definition and a structure around how things get divided up, if there's profit that needs to be shared, if there's assets that are owned, just keeps things clean. So those are like not only four, but four really common reasons that come up if you have a clothing line that you'll want to move from a sole proprietorship into an LLC. So just to wrap it up, if you guys are selling stuff online and you haven't filed any permits, don't stress out, don't overwhelm yourself. You'll need to account for that in your personal taxes, but it can be done and it's okay. If you start to get to a good size, you might want to consider an LLC, especially if you have employees, partnership, or for some reason you might be in a lawsuit separating your assets. It is a smart move.
For sure.
Other than that, we hope this information has been helpful for you guys. If you have business structure questions, put them in the comments box below. Let's let the community marinate on that and see what everyone's up to. How are you guys structuring your clothing line right now? Comments below.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Subscribe for one video a week if you want to get more information.
We'll see you there. Peace.